Howdy, 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 my name is Anaj Shizask, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. I was gonna go, I don't remember where we left off at, and then I was like, no wait, I remember not being able to say the word that there was this, the vampire that eats the infants. So, we're gonna be starting with the accidental car, and then checking out NS Magazine Time, Friar von Schwarzwald, Candle Ring, and Self-Immolating Books. So, let's check out that there car. Well, safe. Sort of. SCP-1061 should be kept in a secured, climate-controlled garage. Its tires have been removed and should not be replaced for any reason. Its door should be locked at all times, and its windshield boarded up unless the testing is in progress. All experiments are to be performed within the garage. Access is restricted to level 4 personnel and disposable dudes engaged in authorized testing. Aside from authorized testing, it is forbidden for anyone not seated in any of the passenger seats to make any contact with any part of the driver's seat. Personnel who make contact with the driver's seat while not seated in any of the passenger seats become instances of 1, and are to be apprehended until such time as they can be used in approved testing. Removal of post-test biological waste from 1061's interior is to be performed by robotic manipulators. No other maintenance is to be performed on SCP-1061. It's a dark red 1992 Pontiac Grand Am with severe collision damage, including a large hole in its driver's side front windshield. It manifests 3 distinct anomalous properties. These properties are considered to be linked, and that they seem to be caused by the same anomalous entity. The first anomalous property is that it is associated with several illusions. The collision damage is only visible from the outside. When viewed from inside or through an open door, the interior appears completely intact. This is purely a visual illusion and is detectable by electronic recording devices. When viewed from the inside, the side windows, when closed, and rear windshield show the city of Redacted and its environs on blank 1996, as determined by meteorological, astronomical, and botanical observations and by sightings of newspapers and other periodicals, the day that 1061 was in its collision. The front windshield will likewise show the city and its environs. However, the hole in the front windshield made by the impact of the original driver's head shows neither urban/suburban Redacted nor the containment chamber. Instead, it shows Redacted. If the driver's seat remains unoccupied, individuals occupying the other seats or looking through the open doors see that 1061 is parked along the curb in front of a suburban residence. As with the illusory absence of vehicle damage, this illusion is visible to cameras and other electronic recording devices. However, this illusion does not activate unless a living human is seated within the car, and deactivates if all observers leave the car. The suburban environment always reflects the time of day at which the observers entered the car. If multiple observers enter at different times, the environment will continue to reflect the time of day as determined by the entry of the first observer. The environment persists until 6:04 p.m., the time at which it was in the collision. After 6:04 p.m., the environment visible outside 1061 resets to approximately 10:27 a.m., as determined by shadow length, sun position, and the times at which local residents are seen to return home from work or school. Observers at this point report seeing a blonde woman walking away from the driver door. The second anomalous property manifests when a live human touches the driver's seat. It used to say sits in, now it's just touch. All such humans, with the exception of passenger seat observers, become instances of 1. One is a human whose mind has been overwritten with what is believed to be the mind of Redacted, who was a registered owner of 1061 prior to being killed in its collision. She is also believed to have been the woman seen walking away when the illusory environment resets. Instances of 1 believe that they are still 1996. Even when removed, they believe that they are either at home or at one of various locations in or around the city of Redacted and cannot be convinced otherwise. When allowed to remain, they will drive on various errands. Instances of 1 will either insert a random key into the ignition or mime having inserted a key. They will treat any passenger seat observers as friends of Redacted, refer to them by those names, and engage them in one-sided conversation about the personal details of those friends. 1 has demonstrated that it is willing to let observers exit upon request, and can easily be persuaded to allow new observers in, provided that their total number does not exceed 3. Observers report that when 1 is driving, the environment visible outside is consistent with that of a car being driven through the streets of urban/suburban Redacted in 1996, and 1 will comment on incidents, people, and objects which are visible along its route. 1 will perform between 5 and 11 errands, during which time it will never voluntarily exit 1061. Instead, at each stop it will enter a catatonic state for no less than 30 seconds and no more than 11 minutes, in which case it will apologize to passenger seat observers for having taken so long and cite long lineups. The precise route followed by one varies between instances, as does the order of the errands. However, the overall nature of the errands remains the same. At no less than 36 minutes and no more than 70 minutes, 1061 drives past redacted laboratories and is involved in a head-on collision with a delivery van. Passenger seat observers will be unaffected by the illusory impact, but one, who is not wearing its seatbelt, will be thrown forward with the typical force exerted on an unbelted driver engaged in a head-on collision. At this point, 1061's third anomalous property will manifest. High-speed photography reveals that within 2 milliseconds of one's head touching the portion of windshield damaged by the impact with Redacted's head in 1996, data expunged and their head vanishes. Once decapitated, instances of one are no longer considered anomalous and can be disposed of appropriately. Fair, I guess. Passenger seat observers present during the collision and subsequent redacted report becoming aware of the existence of an anomalous entity, henceforth 2. Note, all data pertaining to 2's nature and motivations as the result of anecdotal evidence provided by D-Class personnel who have served as passenger seat observers in tests of 1061. As such, the reliability of the data is uncertain, as is the question of whether 2 even exists. However, the anecdotal data responses have largely been in accordance with each other. Okay, so, interview log. So, why is it doing this? It's like this, see? It didn't know we were here. It didn't even know our whole dimension even existed until right after the car crash, understand? Okay. And now it wants more car crashes because, well, it likes human heads. It likes them? To eat. I don't know if that's the right word, honestly. And anyway, so it wants more car crashes so it can get more heads, see? But it doesn't know how to make them happen. So it's like, okay, you guys are scientists, right? So you all did grade 8 science class? I suppose we did, yes. So you remember about, like, setting up an experiment, doing something different ways to find out which part matters? Oh, you mean experimental conditions? Yeah, that shit. So, thing is, this fucker, it doesn't know what made the car crash happen, so it's got all the experimental conditions, what the car looked like on the inside, what you could see from the out the windows, what was in the driver's brain, all that shit, and it's making them happen over and over. Every time someone gets in the driver's seat, bam! The brain turns into What's-Her-Face from 1996. She drives around for an hour until she gets in the car crash, and then it has her head. Thank you, this is most helpful. Tell me, how is it you know all this? I was the front seat passenger, Doc. Anyone who's front seat passenger during the crash knows this. Thank you very much. One other question. Why is it using such a complicated method? If it has the power to do all these things, aren't there much simpler ways? Just because you and me, Doc? I don't think it's very smart. It's afraid to change too much because maybe it'll stop working. Okay. The accidental car. I get it. I thought it was going to be something that's not supposed to be a car, and then, oops, it's a car now! But that's not what was happening at all. 1062 is safe. Quote, quote. SCP-1062 is currently contained in Secure Document Storage Locker 82 at Sector 25. The document is only available for testing, which must be supervised by at least one Level 2 researcher under the authority of 2 Level 3 personnel. Disposable dues utilized in testing are not to have their termination postponed except under the express command of an O5. 4 non-anomalous copies of 1062 were held in Safe Document Storage File number 3562 and are freely available to those with level 0 clearance or higher, as opposed to level 0 or lower, because what even would that be? 1062 is an issue of the weekly science magazine New Scientist, number 2833 Time, the most mysterious dimension of all, August 10th, 2011, or October the 8th, 2011. I don't know. Disregarding general wear, which would be expected from a magazine left in a public waiting room for blank days, the only noticeable deviation from a standard copy is a penciled note on the inside front cover, 1148C. The anomalous effect of 1062 becomes apparent when either a feature article or the editorial is read. Upon reading an affected passage, the reader, henceforth referred to as the subject, undergoes a perpetual shift, which modifies a learned behavior and all memories associated with said behavior. Currently, no methods have been devised capable of detecting the occurrence or nature of the perceptual shift. Therefore, the modification of the subject's behavioral pattern must be inferred from observation/interview after the testing is concluded. Due to the fact that the subject will be unaware that any alteration has occurred, they may become distressed upon its revelation. On the presentation of evidence contrary to the subject's memories, those aware of such ideas may reach the conclusion that they have been transported to an alternate dimension/reality as a preference to the fact that their experiences or recollection may be false. This is considered improbable as no blank particles or blank radiation have been detected. The transformations caused by the document are unresponsive to all but the most potent grades of amnestics. However, normative behavior can be relearned with no further difficulty than would otherwise be expected. The effect of 1062 is not contagious and is not transmissible by reading aloud an article or by photocopying or otherwise reproducing the text. As of the date of this document, no hypothesis on how the articles cause their effect has been proven. And there's an abridged testing log. Article Ultimate Clocks. Modification, no concept of cutlery. Article Editorial. Associates the color cyan with go. States traffic light sequence is red, amber, cyan. Blue. The truth about time travel. Subject communicates in English with incorrect grammatical structure. New structure appears to follow Latin rules with logical consistency, i.e. conjugated verbs occur at end of sentence structure. Editorial modification unknown. This is the first recorded instance where no alteration could be detected before subject disposal. Okay, article Living Without Time. Subject under the impression that each 24-hour day counts down from 24 and that the directions clockwise and anti-clockwise are reversed. Well, that's not that bad. Friar von Schwarzwald. I assume it's Friar. Euclid. Okay. SCP-1063 is to be kept in a 20 by 20 by 6 habitat, simulating a temperate, deciduous/coniferous forest environment, bordered by 60 centimeter thick unpolished granite walls covered with live moss. It used to say they are unable, but now it says it's highly reluctant to damage objects which are supporting live plants. All personnel who entered the containment for any purpose are to carry live potted plants in plain view. Guards are to carry flamethrowers as well as potted plants. It is forbidden to speak English within 30 meters of the containment, as 1063 becomes hostile towards individuals whom it has heard speaking English. Vegetation and microfauna in the habitat are to be maintained according to Schedule 1063 and 6. Climate in the habitat is to be maintained according to Schedule CX5. After each simulated rainfall, 1063 is to be provided with a plain towel made of 100% natural, unbleached, undyed fibers, so that it may dry its non-water resistant components. Okay. SCP-1063 is a humanoid automaton which appears to be constructed entirely out of wood, with highly articulated joints made of wooden ball bearings of various sizes. It is 2 meters tall, 103 kilograms, and it resembles a bearded Caucasian man in mid-19th century formal wear. Its lower left arm does not terminate in a hand, but instead flattens and broadens to form an axe of almost 70 centimeters across. Although this blade is made of wood, it is razor sharp and almost metallic in its mechanical properties. When enraged, 1063 is able to sever human heads or limbs in a single blow, and to chop through over 30 centimeters of granite with no damage to the blade. The clothes are carved out of wood and are of a piece with its body. That's a weird way to say that. With the exception of several cosmetic accessories, all made of severely oxidized copper, 6 shirt buttons, a warped and dented hat band encircling its head, a broken monocle rim surrounding its right eye, cufflinks on its right sleeve, a belt buckle, and a watch chain dangling from its left coat pocket, but no watch, and tattered and faded swastika armband on its upper right arm. Its power source is unknown. Ours are the methods by which it is able to see, hear, and think. Radiographic, ultrasonic, and redacted imaging all indicate that it is solid wood, with the exception of the aforementioned cosmetic accessories. 1063 is not able to speak, but can write in several dialects of German, as well as in French. Psychological examinations have revealed a generally affable personality, characterized by mood swings and an overall low intelligence. Note, researchers wishing to interview 1063 should familiarize themselves with the fractal mode of calligraphy. 1063 refers to itself as Friar von Schwarzwald, or Lord of the Black Forest, and it has described itself as a genuine aristocrat, ennobled by the king himself, translated from German. 1063 has not been able to provide more specific information as to which king this was, but has expressed scorn at the suggestion that it was Wilhelm I of Prussia, who later became the Kaiser or Emperor, describing him as an upstart and latecomer. These attitudes and other statements made by 1063 indicate that it was created no later than the mid-19th century, which is in accordance with the style of clothing. It is stated that it has two purposes in existence. The first purpose, which it claims to have had since the day of my first walking, is to protect the trees and other plant life of the Black Forest region of Germany at any cost. The second purpose, which it claims to have been taught by those nice soldiers who gave me the armband, is to protect Germany from English-speaking invaders. 1063 first came to the Foundation's attention as a result of a statistically anomalous number of missing persons reports from the village of Redacted, Germany, in 19-something. Foundation personnel surveyed the region while disguised as a search party and were attacked by 1063 when they began to prepare a campfire. Subject was quickly subdued and captured with no casualties. After capturing 1063, personnel coerced it into showing them the bodies of the blank people it had killed for either harmful disrespect of nature or speaking English. The bodies were then further mutilated to support a cover story of accidental discovery of leftover explosives from the Second World War. Okay. Candle ring. Is it going to be a ring-shaped candle, a ring that can be a candle, or a ring of candles? Is it actually just going to be about a demon? Well, it's safe, so I guess it's a some candle. When not required for testing purposes, 1064 is to be contained in a sealed storage locker within Test Sector 28. Since 1064 is considered to be harmless when not actively in use, no further precautions are required to be taken at this time. It is a novelty ring made of pink-colored plastic. The setting is designed to hold a small candle of the kind typically found on birthday cakes. Okay, so it's a ring that holds candles. 1064 has no visible maker's mark or distinguishing features and appears to have been mass-produced using standard plastic molding techniques. If no candle has been inserted into the setting, it will not cause any effect when worn or otherwise handled. Test subjects experience no compulsion either to put on 1064 or to insert a candle into it. When a candle is inserted and lit whilst being worn, the wearer will experience one of two phenomena. Around 80% of people who wear it will claim that the candle is in some way intrinsically linked to their own life expectancy. Individuals affected in this way appear to believe that, as the candle melts away, a portion of their lifespan will be irrevocably taken from them. Test subjects affected in this way will attempt to extinguish the candle in any way possible, most commonly by blowing it out, but will not try to remove 1064 itself. Once the candle has been extinguished, the wearer will exhibit a strong desire to continue to wear 1064 and to keep the candle in its setting. If this is not possible, they will make efforts to keep the candle in their possession, often insisting that it is now an intrinsic part of them. In the remaining 20% of cases, the wearer will claim to have experienced time on an altered pace with the events around them, taking place much faster than usual. Test subjects affected in this way will typically move and communicate slowly whilst the candle remains lit. Whilst, in the vast majority of cases, test subjects find this experience to be disorienting and will be reluctant to repeat the experiment, a handful have expressed a wish to use it again, due to the false belief that it is a time-traveling ring. Extensive testing has found that 1064 does not cause the tissue of the test subjects to age or degrade in any way, which might suggest their life expectancy has been shortened by it. All test subjects, regardless of their experiences, appear to age at a natural rate both during and after testing, and no lasting physical effects have been recorded. Furthermore, tests have shown that those test subjects who undergo the second of the two phenomena exhibit no recordable alteration in brain activity to suggest they are experiencing time at an altered speed. Examination of candles after their use in 1064 have shown no alteration in properties other than those to be expected as a result of them being burnt. Addendum A. Dr. Blank, following the death of D. Blank, after a candle was allowed to burn away completely, all testing is to be put on hold until the cause of death can be confirmed. Addendum B. Inserting novelty relighting candles into 1064 is not recommended. As far as I'm concerned, watching Blank remove her own finger by data expunged with the edge of a table was a fairly conclusive test result. I was kind of wondering what would happen if they used the candles that never go out. But it looks like it drives them insane if you put one of those candles on the ring, because since 80% of people think that the candle is related to their lifespan, those 80% of people being given a candle that can't go out would probably just go completely insane. Okay, so that brings us to self-immolating books. Really just landed on thick there with the things from the 1930s and 40s Germany, aren't you, SCP Wiki? So, SCP-1061 1 through 4 are to be contained in individual near vacuum anaerobic chambers, fitted with manipulation access for at least one user per chamber. No forms of written information, including information directly regarding 1065, are to be kept in proximity to it. Due to its anomalous effects, if one or more individual objects needs to be removed from the vacuum containment, it must be handled in an environment with at least 98% humidity at ambient temperatures not to exceed 21 degrees Celsius. While full hazardous materials protection is not currently deemed necessary, latex gloves or other methods to prevent direct skin contact is required for anyone handling 1065. SCP-1065 is a 4-volume series of books written in an Eastern Slavic language, apparently of the early to mid-1800s, and possibly an obscure local dialect or a mixture of languages. The overarching title roughly translates to The Dangers of Free Knowledge. They are bound with red leather featuring faux gold embossing, and show both fire and water damage around the edges, along with significant foxing, discoloration and degrading due to aging, molding, etc. of the paper. No author, print dates, or other publishing information are contained within, although the materials have the appearance of being produced on a commercial printing press. The text of the books read as a treatise against general education, dispersal of knowledge, and, ironically, written language. The actual words hold no anomalous properties and have been fully transcribed for study and cross-referencing, Document 11. The anomalous properties become evident when someone makes physical contact with one or more of the books, at which point they begin to subscribe to the ideals contained within, even if they do not actually read any of the text. While this begins a general understanding or in mild agreement, prolonged exposure produces increased dedication to the principles put forth in the books, eventually reaching such extremes as the instigation of violent uprising against established governmental and educational systems, public vandalizing and destruction of written text, and the destruction of public storehouses of written text, such as libraries or bookstores. These effects will eventually wear off once physical contact with the book is broken, taking approximately 26 hours for every minute of continual contact. A secondary effect occurs whenever the books are left unused for a period of time exceeding 1 month, after which they will self-immolate. The books suffer no damage from their own produced flames, but have been shown to be vulnerable to fires produced by other means, including individuals under its effects, as well as any other sort of potential damage. The flames do not seem to be able to manifest in areas where humidity is at least 95%, and in ambient temperatures below 23.9 degrees Celsius, nor where oxygen levels are too low for flames to efficiently burn. Similarly, the flames are able to be extinguished through any standard means and show no anomalous properties besides their origin. Addendum. Recently recovered records show a number of otherwise inexplicable fires occurring at a series of libraries and universities throughout Eastern Europe, all tied to an acquisition of 1065 approximately 1 week before the fire. As 1065 was discovered and contained following a fire in the redacted government hall shortly after the breakup of the USSR, any prior records of transfer of the books had been lost and presumed destroyed in the blaze. Dr. K was given a citation of merit for his diligence in tracking down the prior history of the objects, as well as the theory that 1065's period before ignition is significantly reduced when multiple instances are kept together, and further reduced when stored in proximity to other pieces of written knowledge. Okay. So the books do light on fire, but in addition to lighting themselves on fire, if you touch them, they make you want to light books on fire. Okay, that's awful, and they should just destroy them and be done with it. There's no real reason to keep those. But, I mean, granted, I see the irony of that statement, but if they're books that make you destroy books, and books that light themselves on fire but don't burn, but they can be burned by normal fire, but they're books about why books are bad. So the books are about why you should burn books. The books burn themselves, they make you want to burn books, and can be destroyed on their own, thus to no longer have this problem. So it's just a loop of, if you destroy the books, did the books make you do it? And if so, are you ever really safe from the books? I don't know, but that about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe would be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well, so that you actually get notifications for when I upload things. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.